integrity constant. So what we have to see here, so that is a more important point. So after learning the ER model, I'm speaking once again, after learning the ER model, what is ER model, what are the S notation, and having seen the one example, we have to understand the other concept that is more important to make the proper relationship. So relation integrity constant are the most important point for the practical oriented as well as the theoretical oriented. What is the relational integrity constant? Constants naming convention we can see like just like a condition, or you can see the its other term from the different dictionary. Constant means we are talking about the condition. So over the data we will apply the different constant. So it is just like simple example. If I need to apply the all the records should be unique. So what I'm applying constant, I'm applying a condition on my table. The every record should be unique. So some of the details could be the same type, just like the name. In this world, I am not a single person who is also having the unique name only. Because unlike like my name, there are many people can have the same name. So name cannot be unique. It can be duplicacy. So I have to identify, I have to choose the appropriate column, the by which I can do. So based on this parameter, I have divided my three type of the constraint, that is known the relational integrity. Relational, I am speaking once again, relation means table. So on the table, how I can apply the constraint or condition. So on the my table, on the my relation, we can apply the some constraint. So here what we have some constraint. So here first constraint we have the domain constraint. But the question you must be known to this properly. What is domain? Domain is what? So I'm just explaining over here. See, suppose this is age. Age is our attribute or column. The age we have the 24. Age I'm putting the next data 25. Next I'm putting the 24 once again. So next I'm putting the 34. So what I'm observing, 24 are the data which are coming the multiple times. It means there are 100% guarantee it can have the duplicacy. So age is an attribute that cannot be a primary key, because by which I'm not easily identified. So from this point we have to understand what is domain. Domain is nothing which is the collection of the data values that is associated to one attribute. So what is the collection of the data values of the age? 24, 25, 24, 34. So this is the domain. So domain is nothing which is the collection of the values. Domain is nothing which is the collection of the values. I can write over here domain. Very tricky points I'm speaking over here. So no need to go through the different kind of the books. I'm giving just summarized part. Domain is a collection of the data values by which our columns information will be recognized. So 2435 or 2435 is what? This is the age of the person. This is not a roll number. This is the point we have to understand. So we can apply the constraint over here. Just like example, student age cannot be more than 99. So that is not possible. Suppose that is not possible. So what I'm putting condition. If I'm putting the age of the student, so I will give a message. Student age should be lies between 16 to 36 only. Suppose that. So if I'm putting the 38 or 39, so what I'm getting a message, the student age should not be more than the 36 or 37, something like this one. So this is what, this is the constraint I'm giving. Now next we have the key constraint. Key constraint means if I need to apply my key as a if I need to apply the key on my attributes, so I'm making the key attribute. So definitely we have some key. Key constraint is coming from our concept that is known as the primary key and foreign key. So foreign key we can explain in detailed way by the differential integrity constraint. So differential integrity constraint is saying to us, if you want to really apply the reference on the table, so then you have to follow the differential integrity constraint. So let us understand each and everything step by step. So I'm just telling the first example, that is the domain constraint. So as I told you, domain means we are talking about the columns, set up the value of the column. So that's why it is targeting to the column only. So age is our name of the age is our attribute of the our student table. Suppose that. So from the age I can put the only numerical data. One student just trying to put the ABC in the age. That is not possible. Why? Because age attribute cannot hold the data in form of the alphabetical. So this is a constraint. If it is possible, then what happens? There is no constraint on the my age attribute. So to determine the age constraint, what is the primary condition we can apply? We can define the proper data type. That is the point. If you are not defining the proper data type, you want to apply some check constraint. Check constraint means condition relation algebra based, not relation algebra based way, or we can say relation operator based constraint we can apply. So it is also possible. If I'm putting the student age 0, so I will get a message. Student age cannot be less than 16 years. So this is known as a check constraint. We will do definitely with the help of the practical. I will show the my proof. Okay, so don't worry. So domain constraint is specified that within the each tuple means row, that the value of the each attribute must be unique. So this is the specified as a data type, which is the including the standard data type integer. Can I put the student age just like ABC? No, that is not possible because I have defined its data type, that is a integer type. So I can't put the ABC. Real numbers, that is a decimal. So I can put the amount of the price of the product ABC. I can put because a price of the any product could be the 34 rupees 25 paise, something like this one. And character. So this character means the when I need to show the information character is form, so I can use the character. Boolean, yes or no, or just false condition based. Variable length string. So this is identified by the bracket. While defining my variable which can contain the alphabeticals as well as the numbers, so I can define the my such attribute by the bracket types. It is also possible. So what is the nature of the my data type I have to use? That is define the domain constraint. Domain constraint means on the set of the condition of the values, what is the condition I'm applying. Suppose I'm putting the date of birth 1827. How it is possible? How it is possible? 1827 to till date, if I try to calculate, so definitely it is coming approx more than 190 years. But how it is possible? A student cannot be 190 years old. So definitely this is what? This is a constraint I can put. So while filling the form, on the online form I'm filling, so I have faced this kind of a constraint that is known as the domain constraint. Okay, so this is the point. Yes, tell me right now, domain constraint is clear? Domain constraint is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is all simple example I'm taking here only. Yes. Next we have the key constraint. Key constraint is saying to us you can apply the key that could be the primary key or a different kind of the key, so by which your information can be identified by the uniqueness. So an attribute that can be uniquely identified tuple. Tuple is nothing, which is the set of the data element that makes a record, and all the associated values should be represented by the its column. And the tuple terms is coming from the relation algebra concept. Don't worry, I will tell you what is the relation algebra. But record, row, or tuple, if I'm giving the name, we're having the same sense. So tuple in a relation is called a key of the table. So the value of the attribute for the different tuples in the relation has to be unique. So in our given table, customer ID, customer name, status. So status, we can say we are having the duplicate, active coming 2 times, so no duplicacy we can have. A customer name Google, Amazon, Apple, we don't have a duplicacy, but there is a guarantee customer name can be Google next time. Just like your name is XYZ. So you are not a single person who your name is only your XYZ. But your customer name is, I'm just putting only the company name, but we can take your own example. So definitely we can say customer name can be duplicate. Customer ID 1, 2, 3. So this customer ID defines the primary key. Suppose that. So with help of this constraint, we can say each and every record will be unique. So how we can say? See, this is the point. The customer ID whose ID is 1 and whose customer name is Google and status is active. The customer ID whose ID is 3 and whose customer name is Apple and status is inactive. So by the combination of all these values, we can say we have the uniqueness in the record. So if you are having the same kind of the sequence of the all the data elements which are associated with the column, then we can say we are having the duplicacy. But only one column which are not satisfying the duplicacy part, so we can say we have the uniqueness. So here, which is our attribute name, that is customer ID, which defines the uniqueness. So 1, 2, 3 we have. So by applying the primary key, by which we can say we have the uniqueness in the record. Now it is clear. This is a key constant, basic key constant. Is it clear?
So can we have two primary keys for an entity?
Super, you are asking the very simple question that is to be identified by the composite primary key. My dear, don't worry with Hello Practical. I will show the demonstration. So that key is known as the composite primary key. That is known as the composite primary key, but primary key we will not use the term. So we have to use the term composite key. That is example of the composite key. Of course, it is also possible. We can make the combination of the two more than two columns, one the column. It is also possible.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let us come. Okay, we have this point now. So the term we have to understand from this point: definition, key definition. So what is the key definition? Key definitions means we are talking about our key or columns by which we can determine these are the our columns by which we can represent the record in the uniqueness way. So here, without wasting much time, I'm just talking about the type of the key. So what I have taken the three type of the key, just for understanding purpose only, nothing especially. Whatever you are talking me, what you have asked me a question, that is example of the composite key. So with that was the practical, I will give you the answer, no issue at a time. But here the basic type of the key, what are those? So we have the super key, candidate key, and primary key. And now why I'm telling you key right now, because after this class, whenever we need to see the normalization part, then you will not ask me next time, sir, what is the candidate key and what is the super key. So that's why I'm taking this concept here. So super key. Super key, please listen care over here. This is the most important point in the for the practical purpose as well as the examination purpose. Super key. Super key is the one or more attribute of an entity which uniquely identifies the record in the database. So that is known as the super key. So just like example, name. Okay, and we can say we have the other part just like the employee name, or other factor I can take just like example student name and mobile number. So student name could be many same. Student name could be same. It's also possible. Yes, you are not a student whose name is Prakash. There are 1,000 Prakash we have in the university. So how we can identify the Prakash and other, and we have not generated their roll number so far. So what is the unique ID by which I can make? So it is better idea to we can use a mobile number and his name, combination of that part I can represent. So that is known as a composite key by which I can do. So super key is the saying to us when we have the one or more than one attribute by which I am representing my record as a uniqueness. So we have a super key. Step by step I will ask. Is it clear to right now? Is it clear to all right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now candidate key. This is theory portion you have to understand properly. And while discussing all this thing, I will tell you. No problem. Step by step, let us understand theory portion. And candidate key. Candidate key is one or more set of the key of the entities, or it is subset of the super key. This is the highlighted point you have to understand. It is a subset of super key. This is the highlighted point you have to understand. It means a super key can be have the combination of the many keys, but from the super key or set of the super key, if you are choosing the one key or more than one one column or more than one column, then we can say we are following the subset of the super key. So that is can be recognized as a candidate key. And very frankly speaking, very tricky answer I'm giving. In any table, whatever column we have, that is the known as the example of the candidate key. Suppose just like the example, student name, student roll number, student age. So every column belong to the candidate key itself. Every column candidate belong to the candidate key itself, because we can make a super key by the combination of one or more than one columns. It is also possible. So by default, every column in the table also recognized by the candidate key. But there is no guarantee every time while super key I'm making or candidate key I'm making, there's no guarantee my record will be uniqueness. But while applying the primary key, there is a 100% guarantee every tuple, every record I'm making in the my table by using the primary key, it must be unique. So super key and candidate key based columns or attribute can have the null values, but in the primary key cannot have the null value. So this is a little bit difference we have to understand. And so, for example, person entity is social security number, passport, and license number are the 3 points. So these are super key: social security number, passport, and license number. So I can just explain it very well manner so the picture will be clear. This is the these are the 3 different attributes. Out of the these 3 different attributes, if I'm choosing the passport number and license number, that is the super key. Yes, it could be. So passport number, license number. So out of this field, I am choosing the one attribute that is the passport number. Itself be a candidate key. This is the point. And what is the primary key? Primary key is nothing, that is a candidate key. So after selecting the candidate key or more than the candidate key, we can make the primary key. So at that time, if you are making the primary key which is not able to handle the null values and there is no null values applicable inside the primary key values, so at the time that is known as the single column primary key by default we can say. But if you want to make the 2 columns as a primary key, so you can do, and that is known as the composite primary key. That is example of the composite primary key. So it is also possible. So primary key by default will be the candidate key and which will be used to uniquely identify the record guaranteed. Okay, and so the person can be identified by his social security number. So a person whose social security number we can have, so he or she has the multiple passports, so we can also have. And license we can also have the he or she can have the multiple license, but social security number will be unique and that cannot be duplicated. So definitely we have this point right now. And one can use many one of them as a primary key to uniquely identify as a person. And so what I have just depicted over here, just see this point. Super key, so after deriving the super key from the super key, we can derive the some columns, those can be identified by the candidate key, that is CK. And from the list of the candidate key, we can choose minimum one key, one column as a primary key, so it is also possible. Definitely it is also possible. But in our table, suppose in our table we don't have such column by which we can say this could be primary key. So I suggest to all the people, you can make the 2 columns as a primary key. So that could be the example of the composite primary key. So definitely we have these 3 kind of the keys we have to keep in mind while learning the database management system. So is it clear to right now? Is it clear? The point is clear? Super key, candidate key, and primary key.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. I will give the practical of primary key, so the more picture will be clear, and I will try to implement the composite key in front of you, so picture will be more clear. Now, this is the point. This diagram is visible to all right now.
Yes, sir.
In this diagram, what is saying to us? Employee is an entity or our table name. Employee ID, employee name, date of birth, date of employee address, and employee passport number or license number, social security number. They are determining this is our super key because more than one attribute we are choosing. And what is observing over here? Employee passport number, employee license number, by which I can represent my record as a unique, so that can be identified by the candidate key. Or I can make the group of the employee ID or employee date of birth, that could be the candidate key. So that is point. If I'm not following the super key, if I'm not following the candidate key, I'm following only one attribute as a key, so I can make primary key. So employee ID would be the primary key, by which I can say. So in the case of the employee passport number, license number, and social security number, I'm making the candidate key. So by the combination of these 3 values, I can represent the candidate key. But duplicacy may happen. So to avoid the duplicacy, you can make the combination of these 3 points. But it is better idea to just define or add one field or column by which our entire row will be unique. So that is the primary key. So primary key, what we are doing, we are putting the primary key to the employee ID, and that is unique. Employee name could be the same. Suppose XYZ is the name of the employee who is also same department. So how we can distinguish this is the XYZ or this is XYZ? So we can identify this XYZ or that XYZ by the employee ID. So that's why we have the primary key. So now, very frankly speaking, nowadays people are not using the super key or content key. They are always using the primary key. But primary key is just born from the super key, and primary key was come from the candidate key. So and candidate key was born from the super key. So very frankly speaking, I can say the hierarchy. Primary keys, who is the primary, or which is the primary key? Grandfather. Super key. Okay, definitely we can have to this point. So super key is generating the primary key and candidate key. That is the sequence we have seen. Okay, tell me right now, is it clear to right now? This point is clear?
Yes, sir.
And next we have the differential integrity constant. So differential integrity constant is not a special constant. It is just saying to us whatever the key attribute we have defined in XYZ table, if we need to take the reference into the other tables, then we have a foreign key. So foreign key is not a special thing. It is just described that we are taking the reference on reference. We can take only the data references. Practically, I can speak over here. We can say we can just get the reference of the data only. Suppose in our university we have a roll number 1 to 1000. So if I need to use the value in the reference key attribute, if I need to use the 2000, so it will not be possible because 1 to 2000 it does not belong. So I can put the value, I can take the value only from which is the ranges from the 1 to 1000 only. It means the reference I can take of the data. So foreign key is just like from here. So foreign differential integrity constant is based on the concept of foreign key. And the definition we have over here, a foreign key is an important attribute of the relation. Yes, definitely. This is the key by which we can make the relationship, and which should be referred to as a relationship, and referential integrity constant instead happen where a relation refers to the key attribute. Key attributes means I'm talking about the primary key. This is the point. Refers to the key attributes means we are talking about the primary. This could be the just treated. I can write over that is the primary key, so I can write over here primary of the different or the same relation. However, that key element, that is a data or column, must exist in the table. But I'm giving the reference for then data or the relation, or we can say that column is does not exist. So how we can take the reference? So before taking the references, we must to keep in mind properly all the things. Now I'm speaking here. It is my 100% promise to all the students. I will show the proof of the defining the foreign key and how we can take, and how if I'm not using the data properly, so what is the error we are getting. So with that for the practical, I will give the demonstration proper. So let us take an example over. This is the example I'm taking. So previously I have taken the example of the customer ID, customer name, and status, and PK is the primary key, customer ID 123. So this is the combination I'm using right now. So in the another table, that is a billing table, the first table name is customer, another table name is billing. So in the other table, if I need to use the value customer invoice number 123, I can take customer, I can take the 123. So if I'm taking the example customer ID 4, suppose that I have already marked over here. So if I'm taking the customer ID 4, so I am not able to take. Why? Because in the billing table, I have not taken the reference of the customer's ID from the customer table. So that's why the customer ID from the billing table will not be used any extra information that does not match with the customer ID from the customer relation. That is a point. Okay, so that's why we have to understand this point. So this is just idea about our differential integrity constant. Now, is it clear? It's my promise. We will see the demonstration with the real example. So the picture, the idea will be clear. So till now, any doubts so far you have? So please, you can ask me right now.
No, sir, no doubt.
This is just theoretical portion I have taken here for giving the idea what is this and what is this, because while seeing the practical and while doing the other thing, all these are the small terms are required to understand. But if you are not able to understand such points, then what happen? Sir, what is this, what is this, you will ask many questions. So to avoid the asking the unnecessary question, I am giving the just idea over here, what is the concept and what where we have to use. And with the help of the practical, I will give the proper demonstration, so everything will be clear and crisp to you.